Booster boxes, in my opinion, are some of the most important items to invest in when investing in sealed product in Pokemon. Those are my go-to choices, right? Booster boxes, ETBs, and then premium products, whether it be SPCs, UPCs, stuff like that. But booster boxes for me are the top dog, right, when it comes to sealed investing. So today we're going through 5 great booster boxes right now to pick up for that sweet, sweet long term. Now, the thing is, it's pretty expensive, right, to get hold of these sets now. It's just exploded. Pokemon doesn't seem to want to reprint any of these sets that we're going to be talking about today. We'll be looking at the Scarlet and Violet and the Sword and Shield era, and we're going to look at TCG Player and on eBay as well of what's been going on. So let's get into it. Okay, first one we're talking about today is Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade has been doing very, very well this year in particular. It came out pretty strong. It performed better than we expected, well, most people expected, especially at the time of the Scarlet and Violet era. Things started to go a little bit of a lull period. The early Scarlet and Violet didn't get good reception. Things were like very heavily printed and there was just a ton of it around and people weren't interested. So we saw low prices on a lot of booster boxes, right? We saw Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox, so on and so forth, under $100 for what felt like quite a while, right? Twilight Masquerade then came out, I think around summer last year, and it started doing really well. It started to push his way up and getting closer and closer to MSRP, which was very, very unusual, especially at that time. Well, fast forward to now, we're looking at $300, well, over $300 for this set. Over the past 3 months, it's gone up by 17%. We go back over the past year, it is more than doubled in value. And again, it came out, I think, around about June, of 2024. And as we can see here, this product went from like 143. So again, it was under retail in September, and then it just kept climbing. And this year in particular, it started, the year around about 170-ish, like 175, 180. And then it just catapulted up to over $300. The Greninja in the set is very, very strong. There's some good performing cards in there with the EVs and a few other bits and bobs that are going in there as well, and that's going to help carry the set. And it didn't get reprinted. We didn't really see a reprint of Twilight Masquerade booster boxes. They just kind of were like, yeah, oh well, you can have a few little drips and drabs there. They release them in packs in other forms of products, but not specifically booster boxes. We'll be noticing a trend today at all of these booster boxes on basically this is what happens when Pokemon don't reprint or restock booster boxes anymore. Back in the day in Sword and Shield, they kept doing it. Like right now, this set is just over a year old, right? A year and a bit old. I'd be turning around and saying to you, like, if this was back in the Sword and Shield era, I'd be like, look, I wouldn't be spending $300 on this. I'd be like, look, it's probably going to have one more reprint coming. It's still, in its 2-year life cycle of reprints. It's still got, probably best part of 9 months left. It's probably going to get one final reprint so you could be able to get it cheaper. Well, we haven't seen it. So what's happening, right? But yeah, to me, I think Twilight Masquerade has that potential. I rate it quite highly in my tier list as well. Even though I'm personally not a fan of the set, I do think it will do very well. So you could be looking 3-5 years down the line if things keep going the way they're going, like 800 to 1,000 a box, which is pretty wild. Over here in the UK, we can see some booster boxes here. £300, 276, 260. So we've got a lot of different pricing happening here. 260 there. You got some half booster boxes at just over 100 each. But yeah, pretty expensive actually for Twilight Masquerade. I haven't bought a Twilight Masquerade booster box in what feels like probably a year, to be honest. It's been quite a while since I bought anything Twilight Masquerade. But yeah, overall, it's doing pretty well. I mean, I personally don't have a lot of Twilight because I tend to buy sets or buy more of sets that I personally like. And I've not been a fan of Twilight, but it is one of the best performing ones, and the data don't lie, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, even though I personally don't like the set, doesn't mean it's not doing well. It's doing very well, and I accept that, right? It's doing very well. So for me, I think Twilight Masquerade already at £300 a booster box, which is next level craziness. So I do think that, yeah, 800 to 1,000 in the next 3 to 5 years is very, very reasonable. The set is not even 2 years old yet. It's not going to be 2 years old until summer next year. But where do you think it'll be in summer next year? Easily, if it's already 300, 400, 450, even 500 by the time we come to summer next year. So that could be pretty insane. Next up, we've got Surging Sparks, arguably, in my opinion, one of the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era, especially when it comes to booster boxes. And this one only came out in November last year, and we're already looking at $260 a booster box. I'm like, guys, it's been out since November. It's been out for like, not even a year yet. So let's say we come to a year. Like, it's got another year's worth of reprints. I mean, it's probably going to have another 1 or 2 reprints down the line. We haven't had any. It's been nearly a year and we haven't seen an actual proper reprint. We've seen like kind of like very, very small amount. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. If you look at the volume of sales, it goes to show how much, when we look at the volume of sales, it goes to show how much like Pokemon's been putting out of this product. And there was a lot sold at the beginning. This set was selling very, very heavily at the start, and that's why we saw that big climb. And since then, start of this year, 2025, it has just been dropping since on the number of booster boxes sold on the open market. And that is because Pokemon haven't done anything. Right? If there was a substantial reprint, we would see these big spikes. I mean, we saw one little jump there back in May. That's not really anything significant. Right? Back in the day when you used to see Sword and Shield Hero booster boxes in a graph like this, you would see it trickle down and then you'll see like a reprint, and what will end up happening is it'll go right up, like up here somewhere, and it will trickle for a bit and then it will slowly start to come down. We just don't see it. And that's because Pokemon just aren't reprinting anything. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's not even a year old. But we got to look at it in the long term. And if Pokemon are not reprinting, which I don't think they will, we're going to see a real big shift happen. And we're seeing that in the Scarlet and Violet era. Sword and Shield, they reprinted a lot. A lot of sets had multiple print waves, and we just haven't seen that, right? And, you know, across the board, that's why Scarlet and Violet is just doing so strongly in this market state. And Surging Sparks, to me, is a very, very strong set. I think I put it in the A tier when I did my tier list. I think it's good. You got the Pikachu, you got the Latios, you got the Milotic. You got so many nice artworks and cards in the set. I think it's definitely top 3 booster boxes in the Scarlet and Violet era. The Surging Sparks over here in the UK, we're looking at 260 there. We got a case for 1,700. Wow. We got normal ETB for 100. Pokemon Center for 245. We got another booster box there for 250, 280, 135 for a half booster box, 255, 260. So around about 260. So a little bit less than Twilight Masquerade. It is newer than Twilight Masquerade, only by a little bit, a few months. But to me, I think Surgeon's going to do very well. And, you know, it's got a year left in its what would be a print cycle. Do I see a reprint of a booster box? No. A reprint would have already had happened. And I think even if we did, right, let's say they did, it would be absorbed so quickly because things have gotten so bad that we're getting to the point where it wouldn't really do much. You might see a 10 to 15% drop, but nothing real. You know, we're not seeing like $100 or £100 or whatever booster box. Or I remember picking these up for 110 when they first came out, and that at the time it felt like a great deal, and even now it's an insane deal. So yeah, for me, I think Surgeon has that potential to be one of the top sets of Scarlet and Violet era. Next up, we got the Journey Together Enhanced Booster Box. I talked about this the other day in an Invest video. I think Journey Together, especially the enhanced version, is an interesting one, right? We only ever had one enhanced booster box in the whole of the Scarlet and Violet era. Yes, we're getting it again in Mega Evolutions, but that's like a separate thing. It's not Scarlet and Violet. But to me, it's like the enhanced version, even though it was the normal version, I guess, over in the US, it wasn't the case over here in the UK. We had the non-enhanced version as our normal booster box. And if we're going down the road of reprints, if Pokemon decide to reprint, this set came out this year, and they did say they were going to print and reprint a lot of stuff that came out this year in 2025. We just haven't seen that. Journey Together has been out now for a few months. Earlier on this year it came out, and we really haven't seen anything yet already. Normally it does take a few months to get things moving, but we've seen a big reprint of Prismatic. Like we saw a lot of ETBs even, but we've seen booster bundles, we've seen different collection boxes and packs and so on and so forth to try and dampen the demand, the value as it were, of Prismatic, and that just hasn't happened. Journey is the next thing, right? Journey came out a few months later, I think in March. So it's like, okay, are we now going to start seeing some Journey Together being reprinted? Yes, we already have, and we're going to, but not booster boxes. We're seeing them in more tins. We're seeing them in more like premium collection boxes and different other collection boxes. But they're not printing or reprinting booster boxes. So to me, it's like, okay, so not only are they reprinting booster boxes, but if they did, they're probably not going to do the enhanced version. They're probably going to just do the non-enhanced version. But for me, it's like, yes, I know it's readily available, the enhanced version to be around over in the US, but I do think that it could be a very sought after one in the future. So we go back 6 months and we saw like the release of this set and a huge drop. The hype was pretty massive coming off of Prismatic. Then it died down quite a bit, so it went to about $200, and I thought it would go even lower, but it didn't. And now it's pushed its way up. Look how little amount is being sold as well. So yeah, this set has kind of gone a bit mad and is doing relatively well. So for me at the moment, this is something to look out for. The enhanced version, I don't see them reprinting this. If they are going to reprint a booster box, it's probably going to be the non-enhanced version. Okay, over here in the UK, we didn't get the enhanced version. Like I said, we did get the normal version. So this one here, 225, 230, 230, 230, very consistent at 230. So a lot less than Surgeon and Twilight. This set literally came out March, so looking about 6 months ago. So this set's 6 months old. and it's £230 a booster box. That is pretty insane. Like back in the day, if you said to me that a booster box that a brand new set, which is 6 months old, is £230, I was like, there's no way. I'd be shocked if it even reached close to retail. But now look what's the situation, right? And Journey Together is an okay set. It's not like an insanely good set, but it's okay. I think I rated it B tier, I think, when I did my tier list. So I do think it's slightly above average, but it's not, a Surging Sparks or, a Twilight Masquerade or a Paldea Evolved or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a weird one, but I did put on this list. As I said, I think the enhanced one is pretty good. Next up, we're going to Sword and Shield. We're going to Silver Tempest. I picked Silver Tempest over some of the other sets in the Sword and Shield era. I think Trainer Gallery sets are going to be very good. So obviously Lost Origin is just going off on one. It's going crazy. Got Brilliant Stars, which is the next best one. Then Astral and Silver Tempest. I think Silver Tempest is slightly better than Astral Radiance. But yeah, it's one of these things. You got the Lugia alt art, which is really driving Silver Tempest quite heavily at the moment. The Trainer Gallery is okay, but it's pretty much the Lugia, right? It's Lugia or bust when you come to Silver Tempest. Whereas like Astral Radiance, in my opinion, has more variety of good alt arts, but no real big super duper chase card compared to Lugia or the Charizard or Giratina and stuff like that from the others. The back end of Sword and Shield has performed very well. And I say back end, but even the middle, right? You're looking around like Chill and Rain, Evolving Skies onwards has done very, very well, of course. And I think the Trainer Gallery is good. This was the final booster box in the Sword and Shield era. It did get heavily reprinted, just like everything in the Sword and Shield era did. And we're still looking at a booster box that's at $500, basically. Now, if you said to me, last year or the year before, even when it had its final reprint, which was I believe in 2023, I think. Over the last 3 months, we're looking at 30%, which is pretty good. But over the past year, look, this is where it's gone. It's nearly like not just doubled, but it's nearly 200% in value. And it's a prime example, right? This was heavily reprinted. There was a ton of Silver Tempest around. It was at the time kind of a weaker set of the Sword and Shield era. I haven't done a tier list yet of Sword and Shield. I'm going to do one. It'll be interesting to see where I think Silver Tempest would fit in, right? But overall, like anything, Trainer Gallery is very good. So I do think this is a good one. I wasn't looking at Astral Radiance. I was looking at Brilliant Stars. I was like, I'm going to try and choose one. I'm going to go with Silver Tempest just because the Lugia is doing really well. And this is just outperforming expectations. So for me, Silver Tempest is going to be a good one. Where will it go in the future? I think pretty much most of the Sword and Shield era booster boxes will probably go above $1,000 pretty quickly. They're doing very well right now. And I think Sword and Shield is one of the best modern era sets we've had for a very long time. Golden Violet's probably better, but I do think Sword and Shield doing very good, and Silver Tempest is one of them. Then we have Silver Tempest over here in the UK. What's been going on over here in the UK for Silver Tempest? We're looking at 380, 500, big price difference between the two of these, and it's literally both on the same day. Madness. 500, 490, 400. So there's a big price difference there for both being on the same day. 490, 435. Wow, the price difference is all over the show with Silver Tempest, but it's £500 a box. I didn't expect that, right? I don't have a lot of Silver Tempest. It's not something that I went heavy on when it came out. But yeah, for me, like I said, I do think it will be 800 to 1,000 easily. Definitely think 1,000. And don't forget, it's got some extra time on it, more than some of the Scarlet and Violet era sets that we've seen already, and they're already 300 plus. So for me, yeah, Silver Tempest does have that on its side as well, which is time. And time in this hobby is a big thing, and I do think that's going to help a lot of the Sword and Shield era sets. You just look at the Sun and Moon, right? Where they have time on their side. A lot of those boxes over 1,000, 2,000 or more, some of them 3,000. So for me, even if you're paying £400-500 a booster box, you wait 3 years, let's say, then you could be looking at potentially 600, 700, 800, who knows in this market, right? Had already on 500 already is pretty impressive. And then finally, we're going to talk about Destined Rivals. One of the most asked questions I've had since the release of Destined Rivals is whether or not this is worth picking up at this price point. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to talk about it now. The thing is with Destined Rivals is this is going to be this era's booster box level equivalent of Evolving Skies. Reason being is it's performing incredibly well. In fact, it's outperforming Evolving Skies in the same time period. This market is very different to what it was back in 2021 with Evolving Skies. So we look here at this, we're looking at $400 a booster box for Destined Rivals. This set is not that old. It literally came out in June, and look where we're at. Okay, so we're at 3 months? In 3 months, this is a $400 booster box. I know. When this set was on pre-order, it was pretty high. And it kept dropping, and it dropped down to, mid 250s, 240s. And I thought, look, it might go the same way as Journey Together. I think it might retract a little bit. I think it will start to go down. Pokemon's going to put out more. So it's going to drop. What's happened? Okay, this set came out extremely expensive, way over MSRP or RRP in the UK, and it just keeps going up and up and up. And then we're at $400 a booster box. This is not the most expensive Scarlet and Violet Era booster box. Paldea Evolved is the most expensive, but that's also like over 2 years old. This is 3 months old and it's $400. This is ridiculous. So you're saying to me, like, where do I see this going, right? Not a lot of sales have been happening with Destined Rivals at this level because anyone that's got it are either holding on to it, and if they are selling it, they're selling it at just, you know, ridiculously high prices. Done videos in the past of stores bottlenecking and holding on to stock deliberately to cause prices of this to go up even more. They're not getting a lot of stock from distributors or from Pokemon. So what's happening is they go, well, you know, I've got a case or a couple of cases of Destined Rivals booster boxes. Do I sell them or do I hold on to them because they'll go up in price? In the past, they would have received hundreds of boxes and they would need to shift them as quick as possible because they needed that money back ready for the next set or the next product. They don't have to do that because they're not spending that much money in the first place. What's end up happening is they're getting like a couple of cases here and there and they go, well, I don't need to sell this. I'm actually going to make more money if I just keep hold of this sealed or sell it by the case. And that is what we're seeing. So right now, the market is being heavily manipulated at pretty much every single level on Destined Rivals. You may be saying, why would I want to buy this if it's being manipulated? The reason is as I mentioned with these other booster boxes and Scarlet and Violet era, Pokemon do not want to reprint booster boxes. Reason being is because they at the moment have this idea that people will just hold on to it. People won't open it. People won't sell it. And it's like, okay, if you reprint booster boxes, that is the best way to get packs in the hands of collectors and players. Okay? That is the best way of doing it. Booster boxes. Not releasing tins and collection boxes that contain 1 pack or 2 packs of Destined Rivals. That doesn't work. You need volume, and the problem is they're not doing it that way. If they just flooded the market full of Destined Rivals, it would cause the prices to tank, but I don't think it would go under MSRP. Destined Rivals, if they just done a huge reprint, massive, right? Maybe on the same size as when the set first came out. I honestly don't see it dropping below the 240 range, in all honesty. If they released the same amount they did with the initial run of Destined Rivals, which, you know, was a decent amount, I don't see it go below 240, let alone go to retail or below retail. So yeah, it's kind of strange. And to me, it's like, okay, where do I see this going in the future? You know, Evolving Skies is over like $2,000 or whatever crazy number it is now for a booster box. Can Destined Rivals get there? Absolutely. So it's whether or not you buy it now or you want to wait. It might not come if you wait. If you look at the track record of Scarlet and Violet, that's what's happened across the board. But for me, it's like, okay, the risk is high for this because you're spending a lot of money. But if you're holding for that long term, the risk isn't high. Mainly because it's going to do very well in the future regardless, right? This, to me, has that potential to be that, you know, Evolving Skies, that kind of Cosmic Eclipse level, whereas like the final set, and they're kind of like, yeah, whatever, right? So to me, keep that in mind. And yeah, this is a very, very good, strong performance set, and it's insane. Okay, over here in the UK, what has been going on with Destined Rivals? Look at 275 a booster box there. Look at £300 a booster box there. So this one has been going up. I mean, keep an eye on Destined Rivals in the UK for quite a bit recently. And one thing I noticed is we did see a little bit of a dip where some stores got a very, very small restock. We went from like 250, 260 a box down to like 225, 230, dropped like 10%. And then it's gone back up and above to where it once was before. And this is an example. They get a small restock, doesn't make a difference. So now we're looking at, okay, where do we see things going forward? £300 a box already. If nothing's going to come by the end of the year, which I doubt it will, we could be looking at pushing 350, 400 this time next year. If we do not see any reprints at all with Destined Rivals, tinfoil hat prediction, I think this is going to be 1,000 a box by the end of next year. That's going to be my prediction. If we do not see a substantial reprint, I think tinfoil hat, this will be £1,000 a booster box by the end of next year. So we'll have to wait and see. Be interested to see what happens. Hopefully they reprint it. We need a reprint, but that's what's happening with Destined Rivals. So there you have it, guys. That is some booster boxes to look out for right now. Of course, there are a whole bunch. They are very expensive. Like the cheapest booster box is like 220, 230. Things are getting pretty bad right now. It's someone actually, I saw someone the other day mention something I thought was quite cool. I say cool, but kind of interesting. And it was like, back in the day, it was like £100, £100, £100 a booster box. and you were like, oh, in 3 to 5 years, it'll probably go up to 300 roughly, right? And it'd be like, now it's like, no, it's 300 a box. It's going to go up to like 900 in the next 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, you just triple it. And that's basically what's happened. So it's like the goalposts have shifted. So for me, it's like the growth may not be as different, but the entry point is a lot higher. And we're seeing that across the board. So it's like, yeah, fair enough. It may not be 100 to get in. It's now 300 to get in. But the growth is near, yeah, could potentially be the same, but just a bit larger numbers. So for me, it's kind of interesting seeing what's happening. Hopefully, Pokemon learn from this and they go, look, we kind of messed up with the Scarlet and Violet era, or maybe this is where they're intended. They want booster boxes to become this lucrative item, because that's what it seems to me like. Before it was like, no, we're going to keep putting booster boxes in the hands of people, and they're like, actually, no, you know what? We're going to make it some sort of exclusive item, some really sought after item that people really want to get hold of. Whereas it used to be, £2.77 a booster pack if you bought a booster box for £100. And it's like, what happened now? Now the booster box is the most expensive way of getting hold of booster packs, which is a really bad way of doing things. So yeah, very, very interesting. We have to wait and see how things go. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Where do you think some of these sets will be? What are you looking to pick up? I mean, for me, I have not been buying barely any booster boxes at all this year. Maybe picking up other stuff as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's happened. What's going to happen moving forward, especially with the Mega Evolution and Phantasmal Flames and so on and so forth coming out. So yeah, interesting times, also quite scary times. But that is it from me, guys, in today's video. For more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on screen, and of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.